Now the feast of unleavened bread, which is called the Passover, drew near, and the chief priests and scribes were seeking how to kill Jesus, for they feared the people. Then Satan entered into Judas, called Iscariot, who was one of the 12. He went and discussed with the chief priests and captains how he might betray him to them. They were glad and agreed to give him money. He fully consented and searched for an opportunity to betray him to them apart from the crowds. Then the day of unleavened bread came, when the Passover lamb must be killed. He sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover for us to eat it." They said to him, "Where will you have us prepare it?" He said to them, "Now as you enter the city, a man carrying a pitcher of water will meet you there. Follow him into the house which he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large furnished upper room. Prepare there." They went and found it as he had told them. So they prepared the Passover. When the hour had come, he and the 12 apostles with him sat down. He said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat the Passover with you before I suffer, for I tell you, I will never eat it again, until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God." And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, "Take this and divide it among yourselves, for I tell you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." Then he took the bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In like manner he took the cup after supper, saying, "The cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. But see, the hand of him who betrays me is with me at the table. Indeed, the Son of Man goes as it has been determined, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed." They began to inquire among themselves which of them it was who would do this. There was also rivalry among them concerning which of them was to be counted the greatest. Jesus said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactors. But you are not so. Instead, let him who is greatest among you be as the younger, and he who rules as he who serves. For who is greater, he who sits at the table, or he who serves? Is it not he who sits at the table? But I am among you as he who serves. You are those who have continued with me in my trials, and I appoint to you a kingdom as my Father has appointed one to me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel." Then the Lord said, "Simon, Simon, listen. Satan has demanded to have you to sift you as wheat, but I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail, and when you have repented, strengthen your brothers." He said to him, "Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death." He said, "I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me." Then he said to them, "When I sent you without purse or bag or sandals, did you lack anything?" They said, "Nothing." He said to them, "But now let him who has a purse take it and also a bag, and let him who has no sword sell his garment and buy one, for I tell you, what is written must yet be accomplished in me." And he was numbered with the transgressors. Indeed, what is written concerning me has a fulfillment. They said, "Lord, look, here are 2 swords." He said to them, "It is enough." According to his custom, he came out and went to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. When he came there, he said to them, "Pray that you may not fall into temptation." He withdrew from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. When he rose from prayer and had come to his disciples, he found them sleeping from sorrow. He said to them, "Why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you fall into temptation." While he was yet speaking, a crowd came, and he who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He drew near to Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus said to him, "Judas, do you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" When those who were around him saw what would follow, they said, "Lord, shall we strike with the sword?" And one of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said, "This is enough!" And he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests and captains of the temple guard and elders who had come for him, "Have you come out with swords and clubs as against a rebel? Daily while I was with you in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour, and the power of darkness." Then they arrested him, and led him away, and brought him into the high priest's house. Peter followed at a distance. But when they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl saw him as he sat near the fire, and gazed at him, and said, "This man was with him." But Peter denied him, saying, Woman, I do not know him. A little later, someone else saw him and said, You are also one of them. Peter said, Man, I am not. About an hour later, another man firmly declared, Certainly this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean. Peter said, Man, I do not know what you are saying. Immediately while he was yet speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had told him, Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And Peter went outside and wept bitterly. The men who guarded Jesus mocked him and whipped him. When they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face and said, Prophesy! Who struck you? And many other things they blasphemously spoke against him. When day came, the assembly of the elders of the people, both the chief priests and the scribes, came together and led him away to their council, saying, Are you the Christ? Tell us. He said to them, If I tell you, you will not believe, and if I also question you, you will not answer me or release me. From now on the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God. They all said, Are you then the Son of God? He said to them, You truly say that I am. Then they said, What further testimony do we need? We have heard it from his own mouth.